podcasting from the Williamsburg section in Brooklyn, New York. This is the Brooklyn Baritone Podcast. For all you people that see me on YouTube, it's not as sunny as it usually is, but it is still morning and I'm out here getting it. And thank you very much for your support whenever you choose to listen. Morning, afternoon, evening, nighttime. Thank you very much for the likes, the views, the listens, and the clicks. And I very much always appreciate when you hit that subscribe and notification bell on my YouTube channel, Brooklyn Baritone. Today's going to get straight into it. I'm thinking a whole lot about many things of how people like to have their priorities kind of switched up, and people put their trust in a lot of things that's concerning a lot of systems and even governments and people, which I totally understand and get, because we need to have, as I said in my last podcast, we had to have order, but then we have to make sure that we place the proper factors in our life about order. I'm going to talk about really quick about how our relation to Elohim, our creator, impacts us, and how our straying and doing our own thing continuously messes us up, and we just have that cycle over and over and over again. Kind of like how when you're young and your parents are giving you proper wisdom and information of how to move through life, but of course when you're young, you know, you're coming up in the world and you know everything, and your parents are just too old-fashioned, or somebody else who's much older, you giving you advice. You feel like you know everything, and then you get later on in your life, and then you realize, now I realize what they were saying, and now you find yourself trying to school someone else who's younger, only to repeat the same thing over and over again. Well, I just want to highlight how we put certain people and things on a pedestal when it's not meant for us to do so. I'm always talking about how we all have the potential to be a leader. We all have the potential to be a leader. It's all about if it's developed enough, or even if we have the opportunities to be a leader. Going way back, I'm going to talk about the book right now, the Bible, as far as having people who are over other people, who are ruling other people, who guide other people. Our creator Elohim didn't want any one person or persons to be a ruling class. He basically wanted us to have direct contact with him, because he's supposed to dwell all around us and dwell within us. So we're supposed to connect with him so we know how to move and make proper decisions on our own. And then we know how to do it individually. As a community, we know how to move even better with much more fluid, and we have better reciprocity for all the good things, and positive growth. First time he will probably use people to interact with us is through prophets. Prophets were the ones that he spoke with and interacted with directly, and then those prophets in turn spread that message to everyone else, right? The second form of people were priests. Not exactly in the same context as a prophet, but they dwelt directly with the Father and his word and knew how to instruct the people. It's like a little slightly lower tier than a prophet, because usually prophets will have the direct conversation and interaction that's just undeniable in engagement with God, Elohim, to direct all of his people. Second, as priests, they learn, they become a learner in the word, so they become a little bit more focused and resonate on Father's frequency, so they can help other people become to that level on their own. Second were what we call judges. Not exactly priests, but they were the ones who were put in place to give leadership to people, to give growth to people. We had Ruth, if you know the Bible, the most famous judge everyone knows about, which they probably don't even know is a judge, was Samson, known for his great strength in his hair, and Delilah came, cut his hair, took his strength away. But for a hot second, he was a judge when he was behaving himself, just to give the people direction, that the Father said, okay, cool, you just need direction. I'm not making you guys actual leaders to control everything. There's proper guidance to keep things tight. And then the last form was kings. kings wasn't really what the Father had in mind. And this is what the people wanted. This is what people wanted, because they were looking at other nations and they wanted to be like other people. And this continues to this day right now. And I'm reverberating what I've heard from one good pastor called Dwayne Lemon, and he had a discussion. And they were talking about prophets, then priests, then judges, and then kings, and how it rolled down into that order, how it started first and how it ended up. And it ended up with kings, because the Father didn't want any one person to be ruling, because the way that we think of a king now, we think of someone who has a whole bunch of jewelry on, who's sitting on a throne, sitting on the top of the food chain, and everyone else is under them, and they have control of all types of riches and resources, and everyone seems to actually want to appease the king, as opposed it's supposed to be the other way around. If you're a king, you're supposed to be the one to look to appease the people you are leading. This is why the Father didn't want us to have that kind of mindset. Even to this day, we have this mindset, which I get it. I understand you need, I guess, one point of accountability and responsibility for everything and everyone, but everyone's supposed to share all responsibilities. This whole thing you always hear about minding your business all the time, only because a lot of people just abuse their authority, they abuse their position with people. So many people have grown to not want people in their business, so to speak. And then we have, and I talked about it before, in the hood, stop snitching. So you have people who are committing crimes, who are damaging lives, but then because you have some kind of quote unquote code, you want to keep those people out of jail when they're the ones who should be off the streets, causing havoc and destroying our communities and everything. So I understand how many people have certain mindsets right now that aren't really promoting or promotive of people coming together properly. We're broken, but then no one person or set of peoples are going to be the answer either, because people have agendas. People are going to have faults of their own, and we shouldn't really still be looking just for any one person or persons just to get the job done. Now, we could do that, but if we were actually communally minded, where we didn't want to have a king or president or a prime minister to always be the one to take the blame and take care of everything, if we were communally minded, everything will work out. We could probably still have those leaders in those positions, but guess what? There'll be a lot more checks and balances in place. There'll be a whole lot more fluid growth. Wouldn't be any much crimes like that. People's health will be really good. We wouldn't be in the state that we're in now. And it's crazy how people constantly always looking for something to either blame or something or someone to look for answers, but the answer's already there. It's already in us. Again, it started, as I said, with the Father in the garden, directly walking with us, our forefathers, so that'd be Adam and Eve. And then they messed that up. So, okay, cool. I'm still going to be with you. I'm going to talk through prophets. Listen to them. Didn't want to listen to the prophets. Okay, we have priests in a slightly lower tier. When further down the line, we have judges. People are scattered. You need some help, but I'm still going to give you guidance. And then that didn't work out properly, at least the way it should have. And then people said, we want kings. We want it our way now. Had it our way. And since then, at least talking about the kingdom of Israel, the people of Israel, they want to be like everybody else. And then everything took a downward spiral from that point on. Because when we leave things to what we want, what we think we want, we have no idea. We have our infinite knowledge in mind, and everything that we need to fix everything about us, whether it's individually health-wise or the current climate or of the politics going on, homelessness, child trafficking, rape, all this stuff, the answer's already there. We think that we know everything. We want to do our own thing. Look to Elohim. That's what this podcast is about. Look to Elohim for everything, and I can guarantee you things will get better. If you can't control everything and everyone around you, but you can control you. If you haven't thought about it, think about it. do some serious studying with it, because I was at one point far away. Now I'm here, and it makes total sense, and I'm trying to make it make sense to you guys. Anyways, hopes I didn't bore you guys. You could catch more of my content at my website, www.brooklynbaritone.com. You can also catch me on my YouTube channel, Brooklyn Baritone. I am also on LinkedIn under Corey Ashley. You can also catch me on Instagram and on Facebook. My podcast can be found on Google Play Store, Apple iTunes Play Store, and Amazon Music under podcasts. I hope I gave you guys a little tidbit to think about. Thank you for listening. You'll hear from me next week. I want you guys to walk good and be blessed. Enjoy your day. I'm out.